my presentation is on the hackathon keys to success. I'm Angela. I'm a senior program manager at Encode Club. If you guys don't know what Encode Club is, we are an emerging tech community of devs, and we have a particular focus on blockchain. Here are some of our programs. Hopefully you can see that quite well. And if you want to scan the QR code, you can too. But we run a lot of online hackathons, boot camps, some in-person things as well. So hopefully I have the skill set to be able to advise you on how to manage your hackathon project well. So a lot of these, I am running a few of those as the event organizer on behalf of Encode Club. And also kind of involved with all of these partners too, so it's really exciting. But enough of the shill. We're here to talk about the keys to success, and I kind of have put everything into these 5 categories. It's quite hard to quantify what makes a hackathon project successful, so hopefully breaking it down into these 5 things will make it a bit easier for you guys to manage everything as you go into your kind of planning stage. So let's start off with strategy. So I've got a few points up here, and I wanted to start with this because I think that depending on what you choose or what you're going for, really dictates how you decide your next steps, whether it's if you're going to build with a team or if you're building solo, how much time you have, what bounties you pick, and what ideas you go for. So the kind of 3 questions I'm asking, or at least the 3 categories that I kind of place hackers are, are you trying to win big prizes? Are you trying to kind of sweep everything off the floor and be the top project out there? Are you trying to build a solid project for your portfolio, get your name out there as a dev, show off some cool things, maybe win a prize or 2? Or are you here to just have fun, learn, make the best out of the resources that you have? I think identifying kind of where you fall in these 3 categories is important to figuring out what your next steps are. So once you know what you want to achieve in this hackathon, I think you'll be able to move easily on to your next key, I guess, forming the right idea. So I've run a lot of hackathons with Encode Club, and I tend to see things kind of fall into either making your own version of something or creating something completely new. And there is nothing wrong with either of these, but knowing what your strategy was before might help with which side of the Venn diagram you choose to go for. So, I mean, in so many of the hackathons that I've run, I've seen a lot of sort of similar type projects like these, NFT marketplaces, building your own kind of basic decks, something to do with socials or a chatbot. All of these are fine and they're great project ideas. They are what I would say is like make your own version, so you're building your own one, trying it out, seeing what it's like to do the development of something like that. And these sorts of projects are great for if you're trying to learn, if you're a beginner, or if you want to build a solid project to show off your skills and have on your portfolio. So, I mean, these are great things to go for. And then on the other side, you might be trying to do something new. So maybe the docs are very new out there, maybe they're really abstract, maybe they're not well documented at all, and you're trying to build something new on them. This is where I would highly encourage you to be speaking with the sponsors directly, or being really engaged with their tech to try and create something innovative and different. So these are the 2 kind of categories. I would say on this side, it's probably you're making your own version. There are lots of docs and examples and things you can follow out there. And on this side, it's something completely new, and you're the one pioneering that innovation. And most of the time, actually, people probably fall somewhere in between, where you're doing something tried and tested, but you're adding maybe your own little flair to it. Maybe you're revolutionizing the UX, because we know there are so many projects out there that don't maybe have the best UX, and you want to change that. Or, you know, you're adding a new layer of security to something. Whatever it may be, something in the middle is usually where we see projects. But yeah, seeing what you want to be doing is important to how you then plan, how you go about building your project. Cool. The next step is planning your project, and specifically your prototype. So it's important to know when you're doing this hackathon what you want your prototype to be, so that you can very realistically achieve the goals that you want to, because you only have 48 hours. It's not a lot of time, but you can do so much, and you can achieve all of the goals that you want as long as you are setting yourself realistic goals. So my main advice here is to keep it simple. You can have a simple idea like before, something basic, but when you finish that and complete that, there is inevitably going to be something new that you can add, or something goes wrong, or something can be improved. Or partway through you think, hang on, this idea is a bit weird, I'm going to change it slightly and pivot, and you build something else. So keep it simple at the start, develop it, grow it, make it better, iterate, and then if you do finish early, you can always add more to it. Second thing I would say is really consider what is your MVP. When you are demoing your project, during your submission, during your pitch, whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you have a product or a prototype that is communicating the very basics of whatever your project is trying to achieve. So if you are building a marketplace, maybe you don't need to have loads of NFTs on there. You maybe demonstrate one or two. As long as you get that working, maybe you get the kind of smart contracts in the back working, that is your minimum product or your minimum prototype. So consider what is needed and what is necessary to communicate what your project idea is, and then go for that. Also, yes, so prioritize that. But then also the second point under it is do not underestimate a good front end or UI UX. And I'll go on to this in a little bit in terms of what communication is and how you present your project. But the UI is going to be what judges will first see when they demo your project. Make sure it looks good, make sure it is intuitive. So don't underestimate that. Yeah, and then the last point, don't forget your prototype is only part of your project. You will have a submission, you will have something, you will have to create submission documents, so don't forget about that as well. That takes time, so your prototype, your demo isn't the only thing that you are going to be building and presenting here. Cool. Next thing, organization. So, depending on whether you're working as a team or if you're building solo, make sure that you know what everyone is doing and how you're going to be working. And make sure that you are looking at both of these components. So this is what I was saying just a second ago. You have your technical components, you have your prototype, but you also have your submission components, your documentation, making sure your GitHub has a good README so that the judges can so easily navigate your project and go through your code. That is super, I would say, a top tip for me. For judges, have a nice README so that they can get to the points that they want to be looking at very easily. So make sure that you guys are organized both in yourselves as a team, but also in your documentation, in your kind of project management. Make sure everyone knows what they're doing. And yeah, kind of going back to the prototype thing, prioritize which technical components are most important for getting a prototype working, and then focus on that, and then move on to creating good docs and things like that. I feel like I'm saying the same things over and over again, but I'm trying to really hone it in that this is what I think is the most important sort of strategy, I guess. Okay, so the last one, is it the last one? Double check, yeah. So the last one, communication, and I think that this is essentially a summary of everything that I've just talked about in terms of communicating your project. This is one thing that I hope that you will take away as the only thing. If you only remember one thing from this talk, please remember this. At the end of the day, your project can only be judged on what you present and communicate to the judges. So, as I was saying earlier, your prototype is not the only thing out there. You need to make sure that you are communicating well, because you might know your project, all of the ins and outs. You might know exactly where this bit of code is, where this bit of tech is being used, but the judges only have a finite amount of time to be looking through all of that. So you need to make sure that you're communicating that well. You're signposting where to look, what you've done well, so that they can judge you well. So that's my very, very important point there. What's the best way to communicate your project then? So I've added 3, I guess, key things, hence the 3 keys at the top, that I think are great things to be doing when you guys are working on your projects. Firstly, and this is, I think, one of the most underrated tips that you can I guess, hear from me today, and lots of my kind of dev friends or DevRel friends have said this as well. Speak to the judges, the mentors, the people setting the bounties, the foundations who are involved with deciding essentially whether your project is good. These guys will know exactly what they're looking for, exactly what excites them when they build a project, when they're judging a project. They know, or in their heads at least, they will know the criteria of what a winning project is, and you will only be able to suss that out once you speak with them. So I would strongly encourage you to all speak to all of the representatives and the mentors and the judges who are here on the ground or online even, and get one-to-one time with them. Another piece of advice that I heard the other day about this specific point as well is that when you are submitting your project, part of the judging time that these judges are going to have to spend time on is on trying to understand your project. If they already know what your project concept is, then they can spend the rest of that time judging and going deep into your code and really understanding the cool things that you've done. So if you can already remove some of that time because you've already spoken to them, they know you, they know exactly what you're trying to do, they've even advised you and guided you along that journey, then when it comes to judging, they're probably more likely to be like, yeah, that project is good. I saw what they did, I saw what their challenges were, but you know, I've seen the ways they've tried to go around that. That kind of automatically makes your project stand out more than the others. So, really, really key thing, speak to people, speak to the judges, speak to the foundations and protocols who are involved in setting those challenges. Okay, cool. The next step, intuitive UI, UX and design. and I mentioned that a second ago, but again, in your submission, when you're communicating something, if your front end is not good, then what else is there kind of to look at, apart from going deep into the code? Judges may not have the time or energy to really go through everything or to look at your smart contracts in depth. And sometimes all they kind of want to see, or what might boost their sort of thoughts, is having something good and intuitive and clear to look at to explain what your project concept is. So even something that's very simple can make all of the difference, with your project. So I would say don't underestimate that. And if you have a UI UX person on your team, then even better, just put them completely on that, get them working on that so you can focus on other things. Okay, and then lastly, pitch your demo, not your slides. I think this is really more important for when you're pitching either live or if you have to do some sort of video demo. I see a lot of teams come through and you don't have a lot of time for your pitches. So they spend most of it just going through a slide that says problems and then solutions, and they spend like 5 minutes talking about the concept and what they think they've done and what they have done, but they don't actually show you what they've done. I would say just dive straight into your demo. If you have a product, if you have a cool UI design, and it's ready to show off what you've done, go straight into that. You say, this is my project, this is the concept, this is what we've done, here's my team, and then you dive straight into, let's look at the demo, let's look at what we've done, and then explain your concept through that. So if you're doing, I don't know, an aggregator or something, then you say, right, we built an aggregator, here's what it looks like, this is how you collect your wallet, blah, 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 blah. So basically, use visuals. Pitch your demo, not your slides. I think that was my last key. And I'm blowing through all of these super quick, but hopefully that just shows how excited I am about this topic. Cool, so getting started and top tips next. Getting started, so I do believe there is a kind of ideation and team formation session happening very soon. So make sure that you attend that. I believe that is in the kind of idea space. So if you guys don't have a team or project yet, please do attend this. I think it will be really useful. And even if you do have a team and project, maybe you can bounce ideas off each other. Cool. Don't wait, start planning. So if you do have all of that sorted already, just start going. Start planning exactly what you're going to be doing for the next 48 hours and get going with all of those 5 keys that I said before. Because you have a limited amount of time, you just better to start going straight away. Cool. And then top tips. I think this is my second to last slide. So network and make friends. I think this one is super important. I don't know if all of you guys know each other from the community before, probably not, but this is the best time to speak with each other and see what you guys are building. Everyone else might be building something really cool, and you might all be kind of starting out now. You might all be trying to build your first projects at the moment, but in 4 or 5 years' time, maybe one of you guys is an extremely successful founder. Maybe you all are extremely successful founders or working at a cool protocol and, you want to make those connections. And if you guys already know each other from now, I think it will be even better down the line. And to be honest, making friends is the best way to network. Networking should be all about just, making good connections with people, having a sense of community, and, wanting to help friends in the future. Cool. My second top tip is take breaks and pace yourselves. 48 hours is long, but also short. You don't want to burn yourself out too quickly. I know that the venue is open 24/7, right? Or Yes, it is. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be working 24/7. I know probably a lot of you will pull all-nighters or whatever, but make sure that you're going out for a little walk in the fresh air every now and then. Maybe get some deodorant too. That is also another top tip I haven't written on there, but it's definitely been needed in the past hackathons I've run. Yeah, and I think lastly, just have fun. We want this to be a great experience for everyone. I'm sure the organizers want that. And at the end of the day, the hackathon should be something you guys are proud of. Your project should be something that you're proud of. You don't want to kind of shroud that in sort of any negativity. Just enjoy yourselves and have fun and build what you can, do your best, and hopefully everyone will leave here with a really happy and positive feeling about hackathons in future and generally want to do it again. So yeah, those are my top tips. Cool. Thank you so much for listening. I have ended a little bit early, but hopefully that's all right. You can connect with me on all of these platforms, or I also have this QR code to my icebreaker where you can just find all of those links. And then the second or most important thing, because obviously connecting with me is the first most important thing, the second most important thing is copy this code. As I mentioned before, I work for Encode Club. We do so many educational things, including boot camps and hackathons. The boot camps primarily we do Solidity, an expert Solidity course, a ZK course. We do Rust as well, and I believe there is a Move one coming up as well in future. So I know if you guys aren't, 100% dedicated to EVM, maybe you want to try some of those out as well. But we do have really awesome boot camps, and those are all just our standard ones. We also do some fancy ones as well, like we recently had a ZKML boot camp running, so that was really cool. Anyhow, this code will get you fast-tracked through to the interview stage of our application process, and so copy that down if you want to get involved. Cool. Oh, and also the boot camps are free. I forgot to mention that. They're free boot camps, just as long as you guys are dedicated. Please do sign up. Awesome, that is it from me. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and hopefully you all learned something new or cool. Thank you.